Am I audible to you? Okay, fine. Okay, in today's class, we are going to discuss about the excretory system, right? I'm going to explain the concept first, and after that, we are going to solve the questions as usual. Now, what is kidney? Kidney, we know what is the shape of kidney. It is in bean shaped, and what is the location of kidney? It is present in the abdomen. Okay, and what is the function performed by this kidney? Why it is so important? It has to filter the blood. Okay, and so all the waste particles which is present in the blood, that has to be eliminated from the body. Okay, so this kidney is the one, it is the one filtering the blood to remove the waste products and regulate the water electrolyte balance and produces the urine. So at last in the urine we find the waste materials only. So now all the useful materials will be get back from the blood that has been done by the kidney. Now what is the function of ureter? Okay, see, in kidney we have an ureter. This is what an ureter. Okay, now what is the function of the ureter? It is a two muscular tubes that transported urine from the kidney to the urinary bladder. Just the function it is performed with the ureter will be, it has to be transfer the urine from the kidney to the urinary bladder. We are calling this urinary bladder as a storehouse of urine. Okay, that is the function of this ureter. Now, see, conducts urine from the kidney to the bladder by peristaltic movements, by vascular movements. Okay. Now, what is urinary bladder? See, what is the structure of urinary bladder? It looks like this. Okay. It is a hollow muscular organ located in the pelvic cavity. What is the purpose of this urinary bladder? It holds the urine for a temporary period of time. Okay. See, until it is expelled from the body. Okay, see, urethra, it is the place where it has been where the urine has been exclusively excreted. Okay, it allows the urine to be excreted from the body. Okay, and what is nephron? We know that functional unit of kidney will be the nephrons. And what nephron consists of? Nephron consists of glomerulus and some of the tubules. Okay, we are going to discuss about that. Now, what is the function of this nephron? It filters the blood, and all the essential substances has to be reabsorbed, and that will be done by the tubules which is present in the nephrons. Now, it secretes waste into the urine. Now, what are all the things which is present in the nephron will be the glomerulus, Bowman's capsule, proximal convoluted tubule, Henle's loop, distal convoluted tubule, and the collecting duct. These are all the parts which we can find in the nephron. Now, what is glomerulus? It is a capillary. It is a network of capillary that is present in the nephron. Now, what is the function of this glomerulus? We know that kidney is exclusively involving in filtering the blood. Now, what is the important structure involving in the filtering? That will be the glomerulus. It is the one filtering the small molecules from the blood. It is the structure which is initiate the formation of urine. And what is Bowman's capsule? It is a cup-shaped structure which surrounds the glomerulus. And now, what is the function of the Bowman's capsule? So, what are all the things which is filtered by the glomerulus that has been collected by the Bowman's capsule? Now, what is proximal convoluted tubule? See, it is a segment of the nephron tubule that is located near the Bowman's capsule. If it is located some far apart, then we are calling them as the distal convoluted tubule. Proximal means near, distal means far apart. Now, what is the function of this PCT? It reabsorbs water, ions, and nutrients from the filtrate that has been filtered by the glomerulus, right? Now, what is Henle's loop? What is the shape of the Henle loop will be the U-shaped structure. And what is the function of this Henle's loop will be it establishes the concentration gradient in the kidney medulla, aiding in water reabsorption. If the water has been reabsorbed, then the urine will be more concentrated. That will be done in the Henle's loop. Now, what is the function of the distal convoluted tubule? See, distal convoluted tubule will be located after the Henle's loop. And what is the function of this DCT means? Once again, it reabsorbs ions, water and secretes additional waste products. So here the secretion is also happening here. Reabsorption is also taking place. Now what is collecting duct? See, a series of tubules that receives urine from multiple nephrons. See, kidney is not usually consist of single nephron. It consists of many nephron, and all the nephron has to be reabsorbed, and that has to be eliminated from the body. So all the nephrons will filtrate the urine, and that urine will be collecting in the collecting duct. Okay, and that has to be transported to the renal pelvis. Okay, this is what a function of the collecting ducts. Now, it reabsorbs the water and concentrates the urine. Concentrates urine means what? All the water, necessary essential nutrients that has been reabsorbed, so it makes the urine more concentrated. Here it is not diluted, right? Now, before it is getting transported to the ureter. Okay, so in the urinary bladder, in the ureter, the urine will be more concentrated. Okay, now renal artery and renal vein, renal cortex, renal medulla, and renal pelvis. See, the renal is a word, it is somewhat related to a kidney. Like a hepato is a word related to the liver, it is somewhat related. This renal is related to the kidney. Okay, renal artery. We know that what is a function of artery and veins. In case of renal artery, it is the blood vessel. We know that, and this is the one supplies blood to the kidneys. Okay. Now, what is renal vein? It drains blood from the kidney. Now, what is a function performed with this renal artery means it delivers oxygenated blood. Then, what is the purpose of pulmonary artery? Whether it is taking the deoxygenated blood from the heart to the lungs, or it is taking the oxygenated blood from the heart to the lungs. What is the function of pulmonary artery? Anybody remember? What is the function of pulmonary artery? Whether it is carrying the deoxygenated blood from the heart to the lungs, right? That will be the deoxygenated blood. Okay, but what is the function of the artery? Definitely that has to be transported the oxygenated blood, except the pulmonary artery. Okay, see, it is the one delivering the oxygenated blood, and this oxygenated blood contains some waste products. Okay, and that waste products will be filtered by this kidney, particularly the glomerulus. Now, what is renal veins? See, it returns the filter. So all the essential nutrients that has to be get back into our body, and that will be taken by the renal vein. Now, the deoxygenated blood that has to be once again enter into the circulation, that will be done by the renal vein. Now, what is a renal cortex? It is the outer region of the kidney, and the renal medulla will be the inner region of the kidney. See, here in renal cortex, the outer region of the kidney where the glomeruli and majority of the nephrons are located. See, we have a nephrons and we have a structure called renal cortex and renal medulla. If the nephrons will be sharing a part of renal cortex, we are calling them as the cortical nephrons. And if the nephron which is present in the medullary area, we are calling them as the medullary nephrons. Okay, but you should know that majority of the structure of nephrons will be sharing the part in the renal cortex only, not in the medulla. Okay, see, now what is renal medulla? It is the inner region of the kidney containing the loop of Henle and collecting ducts. Now, what is the function of renal cortex and renal medulla? Renal cortex is a site of filtration. Okay, the initial processing of filtrate, and the renal medulla will be the responsible for maintaining of salt, water balance of the blood. So it is for the balance, and this is for the filtration. Okay, now what is renal pelvis? Renal pelvis is a channel. It is the one channels urine, which means what? It is collecting the urine from all the nephrons that has to be transferred into the ureter. Now, what are all the steps involved in the process of urination? So, if the urine has to be excreted out from the body, certain stage is going to occur. Now, what is the first stage? That will be the glomerular filtration. We know that glomerulus will be covered by the cup, which is called as the Bowman's cup or Bowman's capsule. See, Here, a pressure plays an important role here. This blood pressure forces the water, salts, glucose, amino acids, and urea from the blood into the Bowman's capsule, forming the glomerular filtrate. Now, reabsorption. This is the second stage. The reabsorption will be happening in the proximal convoluted tubule, Henle loop, distal convoluted tubule, collecting duct. So the reabsorption will be happening in all the structure which is present in the nephron. Now, what are the nutrients they are reabsorbing? The new essential substances like water, glucose, amino acids, and ions. So these are all the things which are getting reabsorbed. Now, secretion. See, in reabsorption, PCT, DCT, and Henle's loop and collecting duct, all the things are involved in reabsorption. And in case of secretion, proximal convoluted tubule, distal convoluted tubule, and collecting duct. These three structures is involving in the secretion. They are also secreting something. Okay. Now, what they are actually secreting? They are secreting additional waste products and excess ions are secreted from the blood into the tubule to be excreted in the urine. Okay. Now, what is the concentration? Which part is involving in maintaining the concentration of urine? That will be the Henle's loop and collecting duct. The loop of Henle creating the concentration gradient in the medullary region. And what it is doing actually, the water has to be reabsorbed as it is possible. Now, from the filtrate, concentrating the urine. If the urine, it is devoid of water, then the urine will be more concentrated. If the urine will be rich in the water, then we are calling them as the dilated urine or diluted urine. Okay. Now, the most important slide is this because this is the hormone. These are all the hormones involving in the process of excretion. Okay. See, that is antidiuretic hormone, that is ADH. Now, this hormone will be released by the posterior pituitary, not anterior pituitary. Okay, this is the first thing you should keep in mind. And what is the action performed by this ADH? This increases the permeability of the collecting duct. Okay, now it promotes water reabsorption. It promotes what? Water reabsorption and reduces the urine. Okay, and it also concentrates urine. See, it promoting the water reabsorption. So obviously the urine has to be more concentrated. Okay, if the water is getting reabsorbed vigorously, then it will be reduces the urine. So this is what a function performed by the hormone called the antidiuretic hormone. We can say it is involved, it is regulating the process of diuresis. Okay, now aldosterone. Aldosterone is a hormone which is secreted by the adrenal cortex. And what is the function performed by this adrenal aldosterone will be it is increases the reabsorption of sodium. Okay, they are reabsorbing the sodium and secreting the potassium in the distal convoluted tubule and collecting duct. So reabsorption of sodium and the secretion of potassium in the collecting duct and the distal convoluted tubule, it will be exclusively regulated by the aldosterone. Okay. Now, what will be the effect then? If it is reabsorbing the sodium and secreting the potassium, what will be the effect? So it promotes the sodium retention because sodium is necessary for our body. Okay, now water reabsorption and increases the blood volume and pressure and reduces the urine volume. This is what a function done by the aldosterone. Now, what is atrial natriuretic peptide? It is what given by the heart. Now, what is the action done by this ANP? See, this slide is very, very important. Okay. See, this ANP will inhibit the sodium reabsorption in the DCT and collecting duct. So you should know that this ANP will be antagonistic to which hormone? Aldosterone. Okay. Now this inhibits the ADH. ADH is what? Antidiuretic hormone and aldosterone release. See, so this ANP is the one finally regulating this both antidiuretic hormone and the aldosterone. We can also say that as a negative feedback mechanism. Okay. Now, what will be the effect if it inhibits the ADH and aldosterone? So, what are all the function done by this ADH and the aldosterone will be inhibited by the ANP? Now, what will be the effect? It promotes the sodium and water excretion. So, this is what in case of ADH, it is reducing the water excretion. It is reabsorbing the water. In case of aldosterone, it promotes the sodium reabsorption. So this A and P, it is promoting the sodium and water excretion. Now it increases the urine volume and reduces the blood volume and pressure. Okay. So the function is very, very, very important. Just make a note of it. Now, what is the function of parathyroid hormone? PTH. We know that this is the hormone will be released by the parathyroid glands. Now, what is the action? So we know that this is the one regulating the calcium, right? Now, it increases the reabsorption of calcium, particularly in the distal convoluted tubule. So, as it is reabsorbing the calcium, definitely the calcium level will be increases in the blood. So this is what regulated by the parathyroid hormone. This is the hormone which is involving in the process of excretion. Okay. So now coming to the picture. See, we know that this will be the renal artery and renal vein. They are giving the deoxygenated blood and getting the oxygenated blood. See, this is the pelvic region. We know that this will be the ureter and this is the renal capsule. This is the cortex outer region and this will be the medullary region. And these are all the pyramids. Okay. Now, see, this is what a nephron, the structure of nephron, afferent arteriole and efferent arteriole. Okay, one it is giving the blood and one is taking the blood. Okay, now the Bowman's capsule, we know that that is the one comprising the glomerulus within it. Okay, proximal convoluted tubule, Henle's loop, distal convoluted tubule, and this is what a collecting duct. See, this is what an outer medulla, inner medulla, and this is what a cortex is. Majority of the nephron will be present in the cortex region only. Okay. Now, come to the question. Which organ is primarily responsible for filtering blood and forming urine? This will be a basic question. Anyhow. Okay. Where does the glomerular filtration occur? Where does the glomerular filtration occur? That will be in the Bowman's capsule. We know that. Which part of the nephron is primarily responsible for water reabsorption? We have studied mostly all the parts in the nephron will be involved in reabsorption, but most particularly, which structure is primarily responsible for water reabsorption? That will be the loop of Henle. See, this is the area where the urine getting more concentrated. Okay. See, you should not confuse with that. Okay. We also having an ascending loop of Henle and descending loop of Henle, where the urine makes more concentrated. Okay. Which hormone increases the permeability of the collecting duct to water? Increases the permeability of collecting ducts. That will be antidiuretic hormone, right? Now, which blood vessel carries oxygenated blood to the kidney? That will be the renal artery. Artery is always dealing with the oxygenated blood except the pulmonary artery. Just keep in mind this, okay? Which structure collects urine from the nephron? Don't confuse this with renal pelvis and collecting duct. That will be a collecting duct, okay? See, the collecting duct gathers urine from the multiple nephrons, okay? And this is the one channels it to the renal pelvis, okay? Okay, this is the difference between the renal pelvis and collecting duct. What is the main nitrogenous waste product excreted in the urine? That will be urea, okay? And we are also having uricotelic, ammonotelic, and ureotelic. Just brush it up with non-car data, okay? Which part of the kidney contains the glomerulus? Whether it will be in the renal cortex or medulla or pelvis or in the capsule. That will be in the cortex region, no doubt on that. Okay, which ion is most actively absorbed in the proximal convoluted tubule? Actively reabsorbed in the proximal convoluted tubule. Think and answer correctly, okay? Don't confuse it with any other ions. Most actively reabsorbed. That will be sodium. Why potassium has to be reabsorbed? It is secreting actually, okay? Sodium is actively reabsorbed in the PCT, which helps drive in the reabsorption of other substances, okay? Now, what is the effect of aldosterone on the kidney? What is the effect of aldosterone on the kidney? That will be sodium reabsorption, okay? Sodium reabsorption and potassium secretion. And which part of the nephron is primarily responsible for establishing a concentration gradient in the medullary region? Concentration gradient. Very easy question. If you remember the picture, you can easily answer the question here. Yeah, that will be the Henle's loop. Okay, this is the one facilitates a vigorous water reabsorption so that it makes the urine more concentrated. Primary function of renal pelvis. That will be urine collection. Okay. Which substance is normally not found in urine? Urea, glucose, creatinine, and water. Yeah. Glucose should not be eliminated in the urine. Okay. If the glucose will be eliminated, the person will found with a diabetes, okay, that does not be present. See, we are absorbing the water enormously in the proximal convoluted tubule. Everything will be involved in the reabsorption of water, but definitely water will also be present in the urine. Okay? It's a common question. And where are the kidneys located? And in the pelvic cavity, which part of the kidney is located? In the pelvic cavity, which part of the kidney is getting located? In the pelvic cavity, which part of the kidney is located? Kidneys are located in the abdominal cavity, correct? Okay. You remember or not? Good. Kidneys are located in the abdominal cavity. Now, which hormone decreases urine volume by increasing water reabsorption? Which hormone? And what is the other name of antidiuretic hormone? We have two different names. Okay, one is antidiuretic hormone and it is also called as good. Okay, so you should not confuse with the vasopressin and antidiuretic hormone. Okay, no. What is the role of ureter? If you see in the physiology, just keep in mind this trick. Okay, if you read about the liver, if you read about the pancreas, if you read about the sense organs, that is eye or ear, and what are all the physiological system, you have to see. For example, we have studied a muscle, we have studied a kidney, right? First thing, you have to know what are all the parts present in the kidney. Okay, first thing, you have to focus on the part, and what is the function performed by each part, and what are all the hormones played an important role in that particular organ. Okay, so these things are very important when you read about the physiological systems. What will be, if you take a particular organ, you should know that what are all the parts present in that particular organ, and what is the function performed by each part in that particular organ, and what are all the hormones plays a role in that organ. Okay, so these are all the things you have to focus on. Which of the following is not a part of the nephron? 10 more minutes. Yeah, that will be the part of the kidney. Okay. Which ions concentration is primarily regulated by the kidney to maintain blood pH? To maintain a blood pH, which ion concentration is primarily regulated by the kidney? Just think and answer. That will be the hydrogen. Okay. See, the concentration of hydrogen ions has to be maintained. See, potassium, there is no point of confusing with that potassium. Okay. Hydrogen, right? Which process involves the movement of substances from the blood to the renal tubule? Which process? That will be secretion. Very good. What is the name of the capillary network involved in filtration within the nephron? Capillary network involved in filtration of the nephron. This is the first point we have read about. That will be the glomerulus. And I think have you have any confusion with the vasa recta? This is the part, it's just a vessel, okay, that will be arising from the end part of the artery, generally related to intestine. Okay, which part of the nephron is involved in the final concentration of urine? Final concentration. So final concentration means what? The water has to be reabsorbed at last. At which part? That will be the collecting duct. So see, water absorption is also taking place in the proximal convoluted tubule, Henle's loop, and collecting duct. So if we are reabsorbing the water, definitely it results in the more concentration of the urine. So finally, the water has been reabsorbed in the collecting duct. So the final concentration of urine will be involved in the collecting duct, right? And that will be influenced by the ADH. Now, what is the primary function of renal medulla? 6 more minutes. Renal medulla. That will be the concentration of urine. Very good. Which structure is responsible for returning filtered blood back to the systemic circulation? Whether it will be the renal artery or renal vein or ureter or vasa recta. Back to the systemic circulation. Easy question. Option D. Is it? Renal vein. See, renal artery is the one taking the blood to the kidney. Okay, renal vein will be taking the blood from the kidney, right? There is a difference. Don't confuse with this structure. Now, which part of the nephron plays a crucial role in pH regulation by secreting hydrogen ion? Which is the part is secreting the hydrogen ion? Of course, see, water reabsorption is also taking place in many areas of the nephron. Okay, but you should always consider the majority. Most of the hydrogen has been secreted. That is what a question. You have to take like that, right? That will be in a distal convoluted tubule. Okay. Now, which process is the nephron primarily involves the active transport of substance from the blood into the tubular fluid? We have 3 more minutes. The active transport of substance from the blood into the tubular fluid. That will be the process of secretion. This is the active transport of substance from the blood. Now, which is the primary? What is the primary function of peritubular capillaries? Peritubular capillaries. Peritubular capillaries, the function will be the reabsorption and secretion. Okay. Now, which part of the nephron is responsible for reabsorption of glucose? That has to be reabsorbed at the first stage itself, because the glucose is very, very important. So that will be done in the proximal convoluted tubule itself. Okay. Now, what is the effect of ANP, atrial natriuretic peptide, on the kidney? Decreases the sodium reabsorption. Okay. Now, what is the function? The following is a function of kidney: regulation of blood pressure, production of bile, synthesis of digestive enzymes, absorption of nutrients. Is it option D or A? That will be option A. Okay. See, regulation of blood pressure as an important function done by the kidney. Okay. That will be done through the renin angiotensin aldosterone system. Okay. That is the one adjusting the blood volume based on the pressure. See, okay. See, what is the hormone secreted by kidney? What is the hormone secreted by the kidney that is involved in the production of RBC? What is the hormone secreted by the kidney? That will be the erythropoietin. Very good. Okay, your tomorrow's homework will be the osmoregulation. Osmoregulation fishes and hormonal control of osmoregulation. Right? Any doubts? And if you have any doubts, just post it in the group. Okay. Tomorrow the same time, 8:30 p.m. and tomorrow's homework will be this osmoregulation. Any doubts?